Previously, I put out a video showing you how to set up a Linux server. That video was intended to be the first in a series covering my own personal home server. Now, in that video, I explained that my intention with my own home server was to set it up as a network attached storage device, or NAS, a Jellyfin media consumption server, as well as run other VMs for other purposes throughout my network. Additionally, in that video, I showed you how to install Rocky Linux as the base operating system. But now we need to go ahead and get the virtualization component set up on the server as well. How are we going to do that? I'm glad you asked. If you're familiar with the virtualization series I've done in the past, in that series, I use QEMU and KVM to be able to make the virtualization happen. This is B from Talk Tech, and today I'm going to show you how to set up a Linux virtualization server, so stick around. I have a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give this video a like if you like it. Let me know what you liked, didn't like, or if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or emotional outbursts in the comments below. And lastly, stick around all the way to the end to get the most out of this video. Let's do this thing. All right, let me go ahead and get my face shrunk down here and get myself down here in this corner. All right, perfect. So I want to go ahead and start off by clarifying a few different things. This is an installation guide where we'll be setting up virtualization on a Red Hat Enterprise Linux or Rocky Linux, Alma Linux, any of those derivatives of Red Hat Enterprise Linux server. Though virtualization installation is similar between Rocky Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and other distributions of Linux, they're not going to be exactly the same. So I do have a video covering installing it on Debian and Ubuntu based systems. So go ahead and watch that video if you're interested in those steps. This one's going to be using mine as the base, my operating system as my server's operating system as the base. And also, my server is not going to be running a graphical user interface, so I will not be installing any of the graphical VM management applications. So let's go ahead and start working on getting everything installed. It's a relatively easy process. You do want to make sure that your system is up to date. So we're going to do sudo dnf update. We're going to do tech-y. Go ahead and accept any of those. I'm going to put in the password. There we go. I am actually up to date. I updated it beforehand. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install a few applications here. It's actually not a large amount of applications, believe it or not. But we're going to go ahead and install QEMU, KVM. So we have those. Everything that we need for that. We're going to go ahead and install libvirt, which is going to be the API that we're going to use to interact with QEMU and KVM on our system. And then virt install is going to allow us to install the virtual machines. So let's go ahead and we're going to do a tech-y at the end of that. All right, perfect. There we go. It's going to have quite a bit to install, so don't be fooled by the shortness of that command. There's a lot going on with that command and a lot being installed, as you can see here as these things are running across the screen. So let's go ahead and give it just a second here to go ahead and finish up. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of wait like another few, maybe like 10-15 seconds and see if this speeds up, because it's really going to depend. This is the actual full-on server, so things usually go pretty quick on this. And if it takes I was going to say if it takes too long, then I was going to go ahead and just pause the video and come back, but we're not going to have to do that because that ended up finishing relatively quickly. So perfect. We got that done. Now let's go ahead and clear this out. Now we're going to do sudo systemctl start. Sorry, we're going to do enable tac now, and we're going to do libvirtd. And see what this command is allowing us to do is we're interacting with systemd. We're telling it, say, hey, go ahead and start the libvirt daemon, because we need the libvirt daemon running in the background so we can go ahead and easily interact with QEMU and KVM using the libvirt utility. So there we go. All right, and it went ahead and set that up. We can do a systemctl status and then do libvirtd, and we can see that she is indeed running. There we go. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and hit Q to get out of that. We're going to clear that out, so everything there is good. We're going to make sure we don't put a Q in clear because there's no Q in clear. All right, there we go. Now let's go ahead and just make sure that we validate everything. We're going to do virt host validate. It's going to give me some warnings, but that's okay, as long as we don't have anything that's like a glaring issue. So let's just shrink this down a bit. Yeah, see, there we go. It says like, yeah, warning. That's not anything that's an issue. Yeah, none of those warnings are actually going to be anything that we need to worry about. So we're going to go ahead and move on here. Let's clear this out. I'm putting a Q in there again, but just in a different spot. So perfect. We're actually good to go. Now, one of the things that we're also going to be talking about a little bit here in this video is actual, virtualized networking. So by default, when we're working with QEMU and KVM and libvirt, the default networking is done through a virtual switch with a private network for the VMs on the host system. So they're not actually on your home network; they're on their own separate network on the host machine. Now, you can use this method if you don't want them attached directly to your network. There's plenty of reasons why some people would do that. I personally like to have them set up on my network because I will be accessing them pretty frequently. So if you want to connect them directly to the network, you will need to create a bridge to do so. So it's basically going to be like a bridge that allows them to go from the host system out to your actual local area network. Now, we're not going to be covering the differences in this video, but I do plan on covering that in the future, so make sure you're subscribed for that. Now, the method that we're going to be utilizing, because Red Hat Enterprise Linux and Rocky Linux use Network Manager, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and start getting everything set up here. And one of the things that we're going to need to do is just IT address. I need to just make sure I get the device name. So this is the actual name right here, which is all right. So yeah, and see, here's our virtual bridge that we created. That's going to allow you can see here it's got a different IP address than our host machine. Our host machine has 192.168.1.176, and this one's got a 122. So this, you can easily tell that that's a different subnet. So yeah, so we just need to make sure that we use this one, ENP2S0. So let's go ahead and clear this out. I'm going to go ahead and paste these commands in there so we can get things moving. All right, this one's going to go ahead and add the bridge. Oops, let's go ahead and do that. So we got a little error there. This is probably not something that you're doing unless I probably should have restarted after I did those updates, because there's a pretty significant amount of updates. So let me just go ahead and do that. We're gonna do sudo systemctl restart network. I think is it network manager. There we go. So now let's go ahead and try. Let's clear this out. Let's clear this out. We're gonna come up here. Oops, not that one. We don't want to do that one again. There we go. I didn't go up far. There we go. And see, this time it was actually successfully added. We didn't get that error, so easy peasy fix. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and set the IP address configuration on that bridge, which is bridge 0. That's what we created here. So we created bridge 0. We set it to auto connect because we do want it to be able to go ahead and do that automatically. And the interface name is bridge 0. So here we go. We're actually modifying it to set it up to DHCP for its IP address. Let's go and do that. All right, perfect. The next thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go ahead and get it associated with our interface, our current Ethernet interface's name. And now, one thing I will tell you is if you're trying to do this on one with only Wi-Fi, it's not going to work. So just keep in mind you have to be on an Ethernet connection in order for this method to work. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and set that up. We're going to basically be saying like, hey, we're setting up a bridge slave relationship between the actual interface as well in the bridge. So we're going to go ahead and make those associated. So there we go. Successfully added. So let's go ahead and bring that connection up. The bridge. Everything was brought up appropriately. All right, we're going to go ahead and set that up. Now, one thing that I will say is this part can take a little bit of time for it to actually happen, and you may end up losing connection to your virtual machine to your system if you are accessing it over SSH. So just keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video, let it do its thing here for a minute, and I'll come back and finish up. All right, got that successfully updated, so we're good to go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just reload the network manager connections. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, whoops. Let's go ahead and make sure we do a sudo on that one. Completely forgot about that. There we go. Perfect. And now we've got that set up with that virtual interface. Now if we just clear this out and do an IP address, we can see that here's our bridge. It's got the same IP address as the actual Ethernet interface. And if you look here at the original interface, you can see that it's a master to BR0. So yeah, it's still working, but it's going out over the bridge. So it's allowing those virtual machines to bridge themselves to the home network. So pretty cool stuff. With virtualization set up on the server, you are ready to create virtual machines for whatever your little heart desires. Now, in the next video, I do plan on setting up that virtual network attached storage as a virtual machine, so it's going to be really cool, so make sure you're subscribed to not miss that one. Check out the first video in the series if you've not done so already on how to set up that Linux server. If you have checked out that video already, go ahead and check out this other video from my channel. Remember, mistakes make you better, so keep on making them. Thank you so much for watching my video, and have the greatest of days.